I have heard rumors and little things about people overall across the United States needing to remove taking autistic children out of public school. When I was younger in public school myself, nobody really actually tried to teach me. Instead, like everybody else, I was sitting in the middle of a classroom. In fact, with my horrible eyesight that I had in the past, I was sitting in the back of a classroom, and I couldn't see the chalkboard. All the kids were noisy in the classroom all the time. The seats were uncomfortable, and I barely even heard the teacher because of how far back I was. So, for many, many years, I dropped out of school. I failed grades, dropped grades, and I ended up getting held back like once or twice, and the next thing that happened was that the teachers, knowing I was there, kept forgetting what caused me to have my sensory overloads. I never liked to play with the other kids. I never liked to go run around the playground like a hooligan, like most other kids did. And not only that, but I had the very little testosterone, like little to no testosterone to do much of anything. With that, I ended up growing up, I'd say, obese. Even now, I'm almost 300 pounds. But back then, I was bigger than the average kid. I don't know why, but in the end, I don't know where I truly strayed. It might have been when I was taken out, because the final straw with so many problems was not only was I having problems at home. My stepdad didn't show me any attention. My mom gave me as much love as she could, but what ended up happening was the teachers. This is the bad part. The teachers, they never really tried to teach me the way they should have. I mean, yes, they're paid just to do what they can. They're paid to do this specific thing. Go around, give this subject to one kid, go give this subject to the whole class and go through this whole thing, thinking that every kid hears or understands all at once. No, that's not how it works. Every kid's an individual kid with an individual needs. But yeah, I ended up not even getting past the 6th or 7th grade because for some odd reason the teachers would always go to blow their whistle. Now this is what the straw that broke the camel's back. What I would end up doing is one of the teachers would forget that I'm nearby, because all the kids, they know for a fact that every kid comes straight to the teacher when they're told. So multiple times they would blow a whistle, and what you don't remember for most people for some reason is sensory overloads don't just apply to sight, smell, taste, and touch. Hearing is especially a problematic, sensitive thing. What you would end up hearing is if you have someone with autism or even Asperger's sitting or standing right next to you, you know for a fact that you do not blow that stinking whistle. That is obvious. And that's what I would see. Or that's what would happen to me multiple times. The teachers would just blow a whistle knowing I was there. And the last straw was my final teacher. We were all sitting in the middle of a hall getting ready to leave the school, and all of a sudden the teacher just decides to because the students were loud, the teacher picks up that whistle, takes in a full breath of air, and blows as hard as she can. Blows it so loud, she is symmetrically next to me. She should have seen me, I was obviously there, and she blew that whistle while I was right next to her. And it ended up setting off one of my sensory overloads, and what happened then was I fled the school myself and went straight to my mom where I knew she was. And by that time, because of this, we left our public school. And after that, I went into private school. I have had one tutor. She taught me time and money. And then I went through K-12, which helps with people with mental disabilities and stuff like that to get an education. And I got past my 7th or 8th grade, I think it was 7th grade. So, yeah, at that point, I ended up dropping out of that after a couple of years. Not because of the teachers or anything, but just simply because it wasn't helping me learn anything at that point. I was losing interest completely, and it was complicated. After that, I have not had an education since. I tried to get my GED, however, I've had some unexpected life problems occur that caused me to stop my GED. But in the end, I know I've probably been rambling here. Yeah, I know I've probably been rambling, but I honestly hope that that little thing helped you to understand at least a little bit about Asperger's, my own experience. But however, there are some upsides to it. With autism, you are you center yourself on one subject, and you become very, very interested in that subject. Well, that means with the subject you're most interested in, and it causes you to obsess over it, think about it almost constantly. Me, that was gaming, and now I'm starting to spread myself out further. Eventually you do start growing out, or at least gaining stability and control over your senses. I am now at this moment 20 years old, and I have no sensory overloads. I've had one, but that was mostly due to some mental stress, and that was months upon months ago. And not only that, but I've been able to gain better stability over my mind. But remember this: never tell somebody that they cannot. Never tell someone that they cannot at all learn, that they cannot accomplish their dreams, even if they do have a mental disability. We are not as disabled as you people think we are. We're not disabled. We simply have a different way of thinking, a different thought process, and our senses are much stronger than yours. So when you think to tell us that you're not going to accomplish your dreams, you're not going to get anywhere in your life, that you're going to end up and you end up teaching them that they're going to have to be sheltered and live their whole life under the watchful eye of someone else. Don't ever tell somebody that. That is detrimental to someone's mental health.